name is Chris. I'm going to discuss my coming out experience. I did this quite a while ago. I'm pretty sure it's shortly right after I did come out. Video was pretty long and it wasn't all that great of quality, so I'm going to try to do it a little quicker and better quality, of course. Started feeling different when I was around 5 years old. Of course, I didn't know why. I experienced a lot of mistreatment at the hands of other students and staff in the school. This lasted until I was in 3rd grade and had gotten so bad that my mother decided to homeschool me, and she did so from that 4th grade till the end of high school. So my experience with it may be a little different than the norm, I guess you could call it. That feeling of difference remained for the next several years. Didn't really have much of a social life at all, because even the few years I was in school, I didn't relate to other boys at all. I felt more comfortable around girls, so naturally, as a result, I was a loner. Did become friends with a girl that moved in next door to us, and her family lived there a couple of years, and they moved off, so I was pretty much without any friends for quite a number of years after that. Again, this difference still was remaining. When I was 13, close to 14, they opened a pizza restaurant in my town, and I finally got the answer to why I had felt so different for all those years. I found myself incredibly attracted to one of the guys that worked there. I didn't know what to make of it. I was confused, I was scared, I was shocked, I was angry at myself. I fell into a deep depression as a result. The feelings continued to grow. However, I denied aggressively that I was gay. I didn't think it was a possibility. It seemed ridiculous. I had gotten some very limited information when I was really hesitant in looking it up. Basically, I looked for what filled my narrative, helped tell me what I wanted to believe. Most common was, something about, went along the lines of, if you're under 15 or under, I think it was, that it was not an uncommon phase some boys go through. So I took that and I ran with it. However, deep down in my heart, I did know the truth, but I didn't know how to handle it. So again, I aggressively denied it. This lasted for quite a while. When I was 14, that summer I think it was, so this is 2003 when this happened. I was taken to the doctor by my grandma because she and my mother both knew that I had something wrong. The limited amount I told them, they diagnosed me with severe depression and anxiety, placed me on antidepressants. I'm pretty sure the doses were relatively high for a young teenager. Side effects, however, were intolerable, so my adherence was poor, so really don't know if they would have helped or did help or not. The problem, or my mental health state of mind, continued deteriorating because these feelings weren't going away. They were only growing in strength and number. Anytime I would go out anywhere with my family, and the way I would feel when I saw other boys, and the fact I was thinking about it all the time, thinking about them all the time, it did a number on my mental health. I was suicidal at times. Pretty much to the point when I got 15, or before I was 16, I think it was 2 months actually to the day before I turned 16, I had wrote in my journal I kept at the time that I thought I was gay, and I elaborated on the reason why, which was mainly the fact I thought about boys all the time and couldn't keep my eyes off of them when we were out and about. I had written a few times before that, really hesitantly, but never to that degree. It was also the fact that I liked a lot of the guys in bands that I liked during those years. I now realize that I thought they were attractive. So it just pretty much at that point, it was really undeniable. I came out to myself officially 1 week after I turned 16, following an outing to a Dairy Queen on both my birthday and that night a week later. The way I felt about the guy that was there at the time, the truth was undeniably obvious by this point, so I more or less came out to myself, admitted that I was gay. I didn't handle it really well. I didn't know how to handle it, actually, so it just kind of tried to bury it in the deepest part of my mind, try to put it out of sight, out of mind. But with the frequent, or constant, I should say, thinking about other guys, it just wasn't a very effective strategy of coping with it. The mental health issues continued. They were deteriorating because it wasn't changing, and I knew that this was what it was. It was not going to go away. Didn't really have time to process it, so to speak, because 3 months after my birthday, my grandma died from cancer. Excuse me. She was diagnosed with cancer late May, died in mid-June. It was quite painful. It was extremely painful to deal with. She and I were closer than I've been to anyone else in my life. We were much, much closer than I was to my mother. So, I felt like I was slowly dying inside. When she passed away, I tried to distance myself from my mother because at the same time she started to drop some subtle hints that she may actually know the truth about me. I did not want her to know because I swore I'd never come out to anyone, that I would simply, if I had to ever act on my feelings, that I would do so anonymously so I would not be known. It was basically a really poor idea of how to handle it. It wasn't viable. It wasn't sustainable, but at the time I didn't know how to handle it, so that was the best I could come up with at that young age. Well, medicine was raised to the highest dosage it could be raised to. Went into shock, probably emotional overload from both the gay thing and losing my grandma at the same time. Felt nothing for about 3 months or so. Finally ended up on social media that fall. This is 2005. Started talking to a couple of people. Came out to them probably 3 or 4 months in. Might have been a little longer than that. It was the spring of 2006 when I actually started talking about it with someone. Received some encouragement and support from them. So that helped me, in addition to doing actual research and looking up actual information that was helpful. So I started, growing a little more at ease with myself, almost like I was putting myself back together, if you just want to say. But I still determined not to tell anybody else. Still determined to keep this to myself, and I pretty much swore I would take this secret to my grave. And my mother was still dropping hints, not constantly, but it would come up occasionally. She would drop some hints that she probably knew, but I was pushing her away as much as I possibly could, while of course living with her. More or less this continued on until September the 4th of that year, 2006, when she saw a picture on my computer that I was a bit careless and left open of a guy that I liked at the time. She didn't say much at the time when she saw it because it was right before she had to go to work. She worked 12 hours that day, so I was hopeful she'd forget it, but she didn't. And she did address another issue right beforehand. She more or less asked me if there was anything we needed to talk about, and I did everything in my power to try to blow it off and make her forget it. But it basically ended up with her telling me that she knew that I was gay, and she had no malice, no disgust, no disapproval, no rejection, none of that in her voice. It was completely calm and neutral. So that was extremely relieving. She disclosed to me as well that my grandma did know before she died, and she did accept me, and she did still love me, and none of that changed. She disclosed the same about herself. So with that, I was incredibly emotional. Both of us, in fact, were incredibly emotional. This is probably the most emotional exchange we've ever had that I can recall. Our relationship improved dramatically after that time. Once that was over, I've pretty much been fully out with it since that time. Met a couple of people within a few years of that occurring that I've known for over 10 years. One of them is gay himself, the other is not, but they both know and are fine with me as I am. I've met a few other individuals over the next number of years that also are aware and are fine with it. In fact, I've never actually had any issues with acceptance from other people from it. So I consider myself incredibly lucky that I've not had any trouble with anyone else's acceptance. The only real issue that I've had to it, and that isn't because of being gay in and of itself, it's just I have never really had a real honest to God relationship with anybody before. But it's just a lot of it's just a lot of where I lived, and where I live now isn't necessarily the easiest thing to find here, nor was it where I lived before. So that's pretty much it. I did still have a lot of lingering discomfort and some apprehension about others knowing about it or not. This actually lasted until last year when I was 30, and whatever happened in my mind, it just changed. Everything changed, and I finally got to a point where I was at complete ease with myself as a gay man, and that's where we are today. So I hope this helps somebody in some way. I know there's a lot of these out there. A resource like this would have been super helpful had it been around at the time when I was going through all this. So I hope this helps someone out in some way, and if you're still with me, I do appreciate it. And I hope you have a good day, evening, afternoon, night, whatever time of the day it is when you're watching this where you are. So thank you.